Hey everybody, Kimberly here, and I've got a treat for you because this is the kind of game I want to play with my husband. It's just going to be the two of us. This is a 1 to 4 player game, but it is, in my opinion, one of those kinds of casual games. You are playing cooperatively and you're playing at your own pace because it is a detective mystery story-driven game. And in Winnie the Pooh Serious Detective, yes, designed for adults, suitable for clever kids too, you've got these 3 mysteries, and each one of the cases says 90 minutes. I think it's about 2 to 2.5 hours of real immersion in this Winnie the Pooh world with all those lovable characters, the fun personalities, and again, the storytelling with the mystery, how you have to figure things out and, yes, solve some puzzles along the way. So in this review, I want to show you what's in the box, what you expect to see, and really some of that fantastic artwork and some components that I think are lovely, but also how the game works, but no specific details. I will not spoil the mysteries for you. I will not spoil the game and the resolution and even the cards themselves. What you get inside the box, mostly, I would say 3/4 of the box is filled with these case boxes. So the very first one, case number 1, Losing Rabbit. Oh, Rabbit lost. You can already hear the personality. You can already hear the Winnie the Pooh in this. And Christopher Robin is going to be writing to us and talking to us as players. This suits 1 to 4 players. And you've got Winnie the Pooh, Tigger, Piglet, and Kanga and Roo as 4 different player characters that you can jump into their role to play this game. And inside of this box, you've got this delicious story that's on the back of case number 2 is how the detectives helped King Arthur. Case number 3, 2 kingdoms all scrambled up. You are going to receive, before I read that, all these cards. These are all the cards. This is like the story. This is the mystery. This is everything you need to play the game, but this is a lot. There's always this nice little stop thing on the back, right? But this is it. You get a ton of things to explore, which is why I think you can see, I say it takes about 2 to 2.5 hours to play. So even more playtime than I think they're saying on the box cover. So here's the kind of thing you're going to experience. And yes, there is a lot of reading in this detective game. There are games where you read a lot, and there are games where you don't, or you make some decisions based on some choices. This is one of those reading games, and I will say towards the end, I was getting voice weary. So it's nice to have someone to play with so that you can trade off reading the cards. But I do love getting into the story, into the characters. I love doing the voices. So this is from Christopher Robin. The events of this complicated case unfold in our forest. It's changed a bit since my childhood, and everything was going rather well until Rabbit disappeared. His house is in a terrible mess right now. Whoever made this mess must have been highly cross with him, and it's hardly surprising. Rabbit caused quite a ruckus before vanishing. However, you'll have to figure it all out for yourselves. So we've got, here's what's happened, here's what's going on, here's what we need to do. We need to figure this out. And you get to take on the role of one of these characters. And each one of these characters here has a standee that will move around in a map that you build with the cards. And they also have 2 specific player dice. And every player has a unique ability. So whenever you activate and you roll your matching symbol on your die that matches your unique ability, you get to do that particular unique ability. There's also space to carry items and particular quest items that you can keep in your little pouch. And then there are these. This is essentially your timer, and the reason I've laid this out for you is because I just wanted to show you, you are going to have some cards, and they are going to be labeled, and they are the general dice supply. So what you do is you just roll your dice at the very beginning, and you're going to place all your dice out here, and on your turn, what you get to do, which is your player turn, you must use one of the shared dice. These are the collective dice that all players share, and up to 2 of your personal dice. So at the very beginning of the game, you roll your dice and you roll these, and then you get to select one and you get to use up to 2 of yours. So you can have up to 3 actions on your turn, and that's the best use of your turn, unless of course you're trying to maybe save a die for the next round in which you don't roll it and you roll the other one that you used. So you'll always re-roll your dice for the next time you go. So spending them is good, because if you don't spend it, it didn't get used. And so I think players need to really talk out what they're doing on their turn, of course, alternating players going around in clockwise order, but then talking about these shared dice, because these shared dice activate different things. You've got different symbols here. The star blammy is specific to the case and will have a particular trigger bonus. Then there's a hat, a conversation, and an eyeglass. And these are going to be the tokens that you use to cover up the locations you activate at particular places. So these are going to be things that you're investigating, things that you are looking into, conversations that you're having with the characters that populate the world outside of your 4 character players, or your player characters. So you're going to move, you're going to investigate, you're going to possibly change your die result if you really need a particular symbol. You've got your special action, and then you've got your case-specific die. And then again, at the end of your turn, just roll your dice. And you never re-roll these, because you will slowly take them away, and they will time your game so that essentially you're trying to get as much done as possible, trying to make really smart decisions, trying to kind of cover the most ground, find those items, and then, of course, accomplish your mini missions inside of the game and the big mission, which is figuring out the mystery. But you have a certain amount of time, and every time you get through one of these cards, you flip it over, and it will tell you certain things, or ask you certain things, or ask you to pull cards out from the deck. These are going to be the information and the mysteries that you need to essentially discover and place out onto the board, that again is pieced together by putting cards together for locations. These are going to be little clovers that you get to have in your space that are going to give you special bonuses. Pencils just remind you about certain things that trigger in the game. And this is pretty much it. Now again, I'm not necessarily ruining any of the mystery for you. I will say that because this deck is so big and it does take a while to get through everything, you do start to lose a little bit of voice. And maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm putting way too much into it and I have way too much fun with the voices. But I think that the game, it might be great to like separate it into 2 sessions so that you don't get too weary reading cards. But the cards and the story and the dialogue and the description is great. Now, sometimes I have these games that come in and they're trying to strike a particular tone, or they're trying to sound a particular way, or, you know, like mimic a style, and they kind of fall short. This game doesn't. These guys really know what they're doing, and they've definitely captured the Winnie the Pooh world and storytelling and characters. I found it incredibly easy to speak, let's say, like Rabbit or like Eeyore, and even like the characters that you have here with like Tigger and Winnie the Pooh and Piglet and Kanga and Roo, which is kind of fun with this character because they have 2 dice just like everyone else, but 1 die goes for Kanga and 1 die goes for Roo, and they move around separately but can move in a really cool shared way when they actually do the movement action, which is kind of fantastic. So there's some nice, lovely features. There are some really specific things to characters that make people feel like they're playing with someone different than other players. They have kind of like a unique specialty that they bring to the table, and it's very nice. And the story will essentially unfold as you continue exploring and investigating and questioning, and you really do have to figure things out. I will say that the big mystery is interesting. Then there are some smaller puzzles. Now, when the puzzle showed up for the first time, I was really excited, and I jumped on it so fast, I didn't even let my husband try to figure it out. I just figured it out before him, and I was just so excited. So for me, the puzzles are where it's at, but there were only 3 of them in case number 1, for example, and I wanted there to be a couple more. I mean, those puzzles were really fun, and they were figure-outable, and when you have somebody else to talk it through with, it's also really nice. But I've done a handful of the exits and the escapes and the, you know, those kinds of like, you know, escape room boxes. So for me, the puzzles were accessible and I kind of saw what they were doing. Might have keys or codes that I'm familiar with or have seen before, but they were fun. Those were my favorite part of it. So I'm into the mystery, but at the same time, the puzzles were a nice feature that I just wanted more of. I think the rolling the dice and getting your actions based on your dice is a great way to kind of give a little bit of luck to the game, because otherwise you're kind of just moving around and there's no real time pressure and there's no real restrictions. And I think with the time limitation on the cards, with these shared collective dice, and with the dice rolling in players' areas, it creates just enough limitations and friction that make you be very strategic and specific with your choices on your turn. So this is a lovely world that you just fall into. And I think you could have a really good time. I will say, designed for adults, yes, I think kids, younger kids, might be charmed by the initial appeal, but they will not stick through with this game. It takes, again, 2 hours to play at minimum, not 90 minutes. And I think they'll get bored pretty fast, and I don't think they'll necessarily make it to the end. So this is designed for adults, 12 and up, I would say for sure. And I think it's just a lovely 1 to 4 player cooperative game. So that's going to be it for my review of Winnie the Pooh Serious Detective. 3 cases. And guess what? Each case you do in order affects the next case in a really, really cool way. There are going to be some fun mechanics and card things that you get to do that will go into the next case box, and you've got everything you need in this nice size box right here to play this lovely detective game. All right, that's going to be it for me. I'll see you next time, folks. Bye.